You're listening to Wordslinger Podcast, episode 110, Indie Outlaw Publishing with Michael Anderle. This episode of the Wordslinger Podcast is brought to you by Draft to Digital. Convert your manuscript, distribute it online, and get support the whole way at drafttodigital.com.
It's the Wordslinger Podcast, where story matters. Build your brand, write your book, redefine who you are. It's all about the story here. What's yours? Now, here's the guy who invented Pants Optional, Kevin Tomlinson, the Wordslinger.
Wordslinger.
Hey everybody, this is Kevin Tomlinson, the Wordslinger. Thanks so much for tuning in again. I have been teasing something to you for the past few weeks. But first of all, let me just say, and this is connected. I apologize that there were no episodes over the past 2 weeks. You're going to find out why in just a second. Here's what's going on. Anyone who's listened to this show for any length of time, if you've heard my interviews on other podcasts, if you've followed me on Facebook, if you're connected to me in any way, you know that my wife and I have an RV and that we've been traveling. We've been living in the RV full time. We've been traveling. So here's what's happened. Some things have changed with my wife's job situation, and they're very positive changes. Lots of new opportunities for her. But what we've decided is we are going to home base. And here's what I mean by that. We have been traveling, but we kept finding ourselves basically yanked back to the Houston, Texas area. And because this is where her work is located, and though she travels quite a bit for work, and we were sort of able to kind of take advantage of the RV situation in that, we were finding ourselves having to race back to Houston over the period of like 2 days. And I don't know if you've made the drive from Texas to anywhere, but it's a long drive and it's very taxing, very tiring. And so here's what we had decided. If we were going to have to be tethered to Houston anyway, we might as well get a place here, and that would give us a little more room to spread out when we're here. And then we still have the RV, so we can hop in the RV and travel anytime we like. And we will. And the advantage, though, is that if we are remote, then my wife can fly back and do what she has to do here in the Houston area, and then fly back and meet me up, or I drive the RV back, or whatever. But I can take my time, since I don't have to be anywhere in any particular hurry. I can take my time getting back. She can meet up with me elsewhere in the country. It actually adds some flexibility to our plan. So the general plan has not changed. We got the RV so that we could travel more while I write, while I publish. It's just that, she likes her job. She's getting some opportunities there. So there you go. We still have a somewhat nomadic lifestyle. If worse came to worse, we could always hop back in the RV, if things went south with our new place. But I don't foresee that happening, and I think we're actually gonna get a lot out of this. So, and our dog is happier. Minnie is much happier with all this room to roam. She actually loves it, and the place we picked. Now, here's the really cool part. We have a bucket list, just like most couples. One of the things that we always wanted to do was live in one of these town centers. Now, I don't know about the area you live in. But at least here, and I've seen these in Colorado as well. So there are this new movement, rather than build like a mall, instead the community will build a town center, and it'll be streets with shops lining them, and you can have apartment homes or even homes to purchase above street level. So that's what we've talked about that for years. It's kind of like living in Manhattan, for example, only on a much smaller scale. And there's more of a sort of small town feel to the town center. Modern, it's all modern, but it's more of a community feel to us. And we've always kind of liked that idea. there was a town center in Sugarland when we lived in Sugarland. We talked about that, and we found one in Pearland, which is in Brazoria County where I grew up. That's where we decided we would spend our time. I mean, it's actually very cool. So we got a place here. We didn't get one. We got one kind of on the opposite side, so we're not overlooking the actual town center. I can see it. I can from my office window here, I can actually see some of the shops and everything. But for the most part, we're kind of on the opposite side. So we get a little bit more privacy. It's a little quieter. But in 2 minutes, I can walk downstairs and be in the town center proper. So that was a bucket list thing for us. So we decided, well, okay, if we're going to home base, let's do it the way we always wanted to do it. You know, we've got the RV. We found a place to store that when it's not in use, and it's close by. And we have the town center here that I could literally walk down to Barnes & Noble. It takes me 5 minutes to walk to Barnes & Noble, a very dangerous prospect indeed. And there are tons of restaurants and shops, and we're going to be fat and broke is what I'm trying to say. So maybe, but we have a very happy dog. So that's the big announcement. I announced this on Facebook as well, so a lot of people already know about this, and it was just the reaction's been really interesting. People are so supportive. No matter what you decide to do, there was a part of me that was like, I've been pushing this whole RV lifestyle thing for a while, and people are going to be really disappointed, and people may even say things, mean things or something. But no, everybody's been very supportive. So thank you for that. You're all very wonderful people, and I appreciate it. Okay, real quick, and I'm inserting this. You can tell by the fact that the background noise disappeared. Sorry about that. But I wanted to jump in before we get to this great interview with Michael. I wanted to thank a few folks publicly. I've had a couple of new people jump in on the Patreon campaign, and I'd like to thank Diana Tyler, who made a monthly pledge. I'd like to thank Lorna Faith. Both of you are wonderful people. Thank you for supporting me financially in this. That does mean a lot, and I am honored by the fact that you consider the show and its content worthy enough for an ongoing contribution. So thank you so much for that. I also got a couple of podcast reviews that I will read off right now. Give me a second. Okay, so here we go. This one is from M School Beans from Canada. Okay, I highly recommend the Word Slinger podcast. This is a much needed resource for all creatives. And there's a little smiley emoji there. The review goes on to say, I love Kevin's authentic way he has in the interviews with best-selling authors and other creatives, as well as the much-needed inspiration and generosity he gives to listeners. I highly recommend the Word Slinger podcast. It's a much-needed resource for creatives. Thank you so much. I hope it is. That is exactly what I'm hoping it is. A resource for creatives, and also just an inspiration to people. Not just in your work. I know I talk to a lot of authors, but this isn't just about being an author. This is about being a good human being, and I'm hoping that the show inspires people in that direction. And whatever it is you're trying to accomplish with your life, I hope that this does give you some fuel for that. So thank you so much for that review. And another here from another Canadian. This is Michael Wone, who I actually interviewed. You'll be hearing an interview with Michael soon. Entertaining and informative. Great for writers, readers of any kind of writing. Depth of knowledge and production quality are fantastic. Have a listen. Thank you, Michael. I do appreciate that. And you're gonna enjoy the interview with Michael. Actually, it touches on a somewhat sensitive subject. Now, it's going to be a few weeks in coming, so apologize. But here's a little preview of Michael. He's a great guy, and you're going to love that interview. So, and we're going to talk a little about his new book, his novella, and how it came to be. So you're going to find that fascinating. So stay tuned. All right. Now, the reason you tune in, I know you love, hearing all about my reviews and everything, but, the reason you tune in is for the interviews, and we've got a great one right now with Michael Anderle. I know you're going to enjoy this, and I'm impressed by what this guy does. He and I are very similar in our approach to the work and to the industry, but also in the way that we want to help other authors, particularly indie authors, to build a career and be successful at this. So if you are an indie author, if you've been tempted into writing at all, if you're thinking about getting into writing books for a living, you're going to enjoy this interview. So without further ado, here is the wonderful and interesting and very helpful Michael Anderle. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is actually this is kind of a treat for me because this is a guy I've encountered. I first encountered you, Michael, on online, and I think actually Justin Sloan connected us originally. I started kind of following what you're doing, and I'm digging what you're doing. And I think we had you on the Creative Writing Career podcast. Is that right?
That is right. Although, really, I met you at the Smarter Artist Summit.
That's right. Okay. Yes. Okay. See, I'm sorry, man. Too many conferences, too many podcasts. So
no, but it was the bow tie. I caught you by the bow tie.
I had to do the bow tie. So just so everyone's caught up with us, I'm talking to Michael Anderle. He's the author of the. I'm going to mess it up, man. He's the author of the Kurtherian Gambit books. I got it. Sorry, man. See, that's the thing about sci-fi is that we write stuff that is nearly unpronounceable in the real world. But
wait a minute, like Coelho,
like Coelho.
Yes, you have no room to talk, man.
No. I'm saying I'm in the group, man. I'm in that club. I definitely I push those limits. But so yes, we did. We met at Smarter Artist, which is that's coming up again. Actually, Draft to Digital. We're actually going to sponsor it this year, so that would be kind of cool. Now, the other thing though about Michael that's very cool. First of all, I am in his 20 books to 50K group, and I admit to being something of a lurker, Michael, and I'm sorry about that, but it's kind of just interesting to watch everyone talk. I'm there. If anybody wants to ever ask me anything, I'm there. I'm in.
Well, that's we use you for that purpose, right? We have others from your company, so whenever we have questions that are Draft to Digital, we just hit you up and go, why don't we just ask them directly? Right.
Yeah. And I'm a fan of that. And there are other people in there that are just really brilliant, knowledgeable folks. And so what you've done is collect a whole lot of authors who are both knowledgeable and just coming into the game, and you're letting them feed each other. Is that kind of the idea?
Yeah, that is the idea. At the end of the day, it was just an opportunity for those that care to push their own boundaries and do it in a way that we can support each other. If you intend to be a jerk about it and say derogatory things, you will get kicked out. Right. And the other one was, that's it, really. That's it. We accept everybody and we kick people out that are self-promoting as well.
Yeah. It is a very good learning environment, actually. And I know there are a ton of Facebook groups for indie authors out there, but this is probably one of the ones I visit most, which is saying something, because I think I'm a member of practically every indie author group out there, and I never post in any of them. So, if that means anything.
Yeah, so our one time a month. Hot damn.
There you go. There you go.
Time to see you put something on there. Woo! We got our March post from Kevin.
That's right. It's fresh off the press, ready for your consumption. So yeah, but what's interesting though about you, and by the way, you came up a lot. First of all, I've been meaning to say this to you. Actually, I've been waiting to say this to you on this show. So I attended, and forgive me, everybody, my voice is cracking because I've got a cold, but I attended.
I thought you were just emotional.
Man, I'm just sexy is really what it comes down to. I was at the San Francisco Writers Conference, and you actually helped to sponsor. You contributed to one of the scholarship winners going. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. All right, just correct me on the details. And I know her as Missy. Her name is Michelle, and I'm so sorry, Michelle. I forgot her last name. What is her last name?
Oh, you're going to put me on this thing?
I'm going to put, yeah.
No.
We'll get it.
No.
Okay, look. I'm going to look this up and make it up to you, Michelle, and I'm sorry. Because she was awesome. I got to hang out with her several times over the week, and she was great. But she was there because you were willing to help her get there. which I think is one of the things that kind of sums you up, man. It's one of the things I really admire about you. So I wanted to first thank you on her behalf, but congratulate you on being a fine example of a human being.
I'm also, besides being a Kevin Tumlinson approved fine example of a human being, also the one who's going to say that her name is Michelle Holloway Chasson.
That's it.
And she is an Army veteran.
I wanted to say Holloway, but I knew there was a hyphenate there. So.
Well, I have to give Justin credit because he actually took a snapshot of the document. I remembered it was in my phone. So I'm like,
okay.
ooh, while he's talking, I'm going to...
Okay. Yes, and she's a veteran. There were two veterans there on scholarship. Did you sponsor both, or did you... I didn't know how the scholarship worked, I'll be honest. I mean, I just knew it was there.
No, I sponsored to allow her to get there. I want to say the other person might have been able to drive, possibly.
Oh, yes, he lived in the Bay Area.
Yeah. Juan Vaca.
That's him. Who was also a great guy. I enjoyed meeting him too. But this was impressive. You know, and Missy, she stayed in a hostel, like just down the hill from the hotel. Like, I'm like, if you're going to do it, man, you did it right. Like, I think you've got this great experience now that you can just, fold right into your book. So, what brought you into that? Like, why did you sponsor her travel there?
Well, Justin reached out. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known anything about it. But the opportunity, I mean, I am so personally blessed, both myself and my family and everything with the books and things that are going on, that as I came up through the ranks, I was approaching 5 figures in 90 days. And I had read on K-boards by this time how many people were struggling. And so I just started reaching out and grabbing people. And one of the things that I think causes authors to be afraid is to say perhaps encourage another author, and all of a sudden the readers go to the other person.
Yeah.
And I've never had that problem. In fact, it got to a point where readers were reading the books in 24 to 48 hours going, when's the next one? And I'm like, well, here, read this and this and this and this and this and this. And it never affected my sales. In fact, what I found out was a lot of readers came back and started telling me, thank you for introducing me to this author and that author and this author. And so not only was I helping other indie authors by giving them a shot at being found, when I think that everybody understands that. Everyone wants to say writing the book is the hard part. No. Publishing and getting noticed is the hard part.
Getting noticed part particularly.
Exactly.
Publishing is easy.
Well, for the technically illiterate, it's a bit of a challenge.
No, Draft to Digital, everyone. Go to Draft to Digital and publishing is easy.
Dude, you're right. I need to get on the marketing bandwagon on that one. Sorry, guys.
No, it's cool. And all right. What I've noticed, it's you kind of hinted at this too, but actually what happens for me a lot is like I'll take on an author and just promote them to my list, right? There's about 26,000 people on that list, so it's worth people's time. And I'll send out that email and say, this author, who, by the way, has no list of his own or has a very, doesn't have a lot of resources of his own or her own. I'll say this is a new author. They're indie published. I support that. Here's their book. I'd love it if you go check it out. Let them know, and that not only will their sales spike, but I get a spike that day, which I think is really interesting because I'm talking to this list all the time, right? So that's pretty interesting. But that's cool, man. I'm glad you're. That's one of the things I've noted about you is that you're very keen on helping other authors succeed. I think that's awesome.
Thank you.
What motivates that?
Part of it is personality. Yeah. I like to see other people do well, and I like to help. Now, tempered with that, as we go into 2017 and 2018, I also am building a publishing company. Oh, and the opportunities with that is, publishing 2.0 or 3.0, right? What's going to be that? And so I'm doing it as you're quite aware, indie outlaw, right? Indie publishing outlaw. That's who I am. That's what I am. And I refuse to do things the way that other people have done it because I don't think it's right.
Right.
You know, my main character, Bethany Ann, is very much about justice, and that is a personality quirk of mine. And so an example of this might be whenever you do collaborations, the author who is the big name is usually plastered in 50-point font, and the author who's really wrote the book and collaborated is sitting here at 18-point font underneath.
Right.
And I refuse to do it that way.
So is it equal billing, or do you give them like top billing?
Equal font size, they're on top of me.
Okay.
They're above me. Let's rephrase that a little bit. Their name
on top.
is
No. It's too late. It's recorded forever. We've got it. I'm actually going to loop that, and instead of recording an intro, I'm just going to play that for like 30 minutes.
You're on top. It's not going to be good with my wife. Let me tell you.
That's cool, man. That is awesome. I'm going to tell you from personal experience that starting a publishing company, an imprint or otherwise, is a lot of work and is very difficult to pull off. So I applaud you in taking that on. So clearly you are very savvy and business minded. So you have a strategy around this already, huh?
The strategy is to work hard, work fast, be fair. Because here's some of the things that have occurred because of this sense of justice, right? Everybody that we go into the books, we already understand what the money situation is, and we share the value of the money 50-50.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll take Justin Sloan because he's one of your collaborators on another podcast, and I figured, he's relatively sharing.
Yeah.
So what will happen is we plan on a $500 cover cost, of which I front the money to all of this stuff. And let me do a quick aside. The reason I share this is because I want other successful authors to mimic this.
Yeah.
That is the point. I'm not doing this to hide it. I'm doing it because if I end up supporting, let's say over the next 2 years, I support 20 authors,
right,
and I help get them self-sufficient, then if I can get another 15 or 20 authors like myself to do it, now we've done 400 authors.
Right.
So with that, because I'm the one that has the income, I'm the one fronting the financial bill until the income comes in from the books that we collaborate.
Right.
I believe that books I collaborate on are going to make money, and I'm betting on that.
Okay.
So I feel I'm my own safe bet, right? So when the money comes in from the books, we'll say that anything that we did in December is going to come in, of course, here at the end of February. Then I will take the $250 of Justin's part, and I will give him the rest of the monies that are that we agreed upon in 5 days from Amazon dropping it to me. And I intend to do it quicker, but that at least lets me know that if I screw up, I've got a day or two to figure out how to fix it.
Yeah.
And then, and we go on, and that agreement includes, like, if someone came knocking for a movie deal, sharing that, that story 50-50. I'm very particular about my world. Everything in the world is still mine.
Right.
No one's allowed to go off and do something else Arthurian. No. But I share my fans. I encourage them to use some of the same marketing techniques I use and drive them to my collaborators' personal website so they see their backlist.
Okay.
So I am constantly trying to explain to my collaborators, here's how I think we can make sure you get prime time and we grow your business.
Right. That's cool, man. So is it all of this then? Is it strictly collaboration, or are you, because you said a publisher, are you only publishing collaborative work, or are you inviting people in to do like original work?
In 2017, it's predominantly collaboration. It's me getting feet wet in ways that I know or feel that we're going to make money. In 2018, the plan is to go strictly more publisher.
Right.
I have done a publisher-only deal with Martha Carr for audio.
Right.
Where I invested to grab the other 20%, and I paid for a finished hour. So we're publishing that, and that is strictly a publisher deal.
Okay.
Now the difference in that over, say, some of our some other publishers, that's half the money.
Right.
Right. That's normally you get 40%. And if you were to, like, Martha was going to try to go out and get somebody to do a 20-20 split. And I said, no, we've got the infrastructure here. Would you be willing to try this with me? We're already doing per finished hour with everything on Criterion Gambit. And we can talk about audio in a minute. And I think LMBPM Publishing, my company, is going to rock the publishing world. And I'm probably going to upset a few of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's at the end of the day. I believe in it enough. And what happened was I was blessed to be approached by a couple of different companies. And at the time that they approached me, I was already doing, a significant amount of money a day. Let me just say that what they offered for the rights for my first 3 books, I made by noon.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a similar experience.
Yeah. And then the percentage, what would happen is they would come back and say, okay, as a percentage, we're going to offer you, say, 25%, which kind of sounds cool until you go, no, that's 25% of 40. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, so we're talking 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, maybe 14% if you got really good.
Right.
And that was it. I'm like, no, it's not going to happen. So this year alone, we're going to put out 30 books probably.
Yeah.
Audio. I mean, we're locking down some big names to where we're going to SAG-AFTRA and writing up contracts with them. Otherwise, we couldn't do it.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's a volume. That's quite
it
a
is,
volume.
and it's all because of the collaborations.
Yeah.
Right?
God, I gotta tell you, man, I'm so behind on the audiobook side of my business because it's so frustrating to me. I can't stand ACX, so just going in there, it's like I have to take a tonic, just to go in. So I admire your drive and the fact that you're helping other people do it. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm out. I will help you ebook publish all day long, but audio, man. And I think part of it is because I've worked in film and television, part of my career, and I know what goes into this. I know how strenuous this is for the person doing the recording, and so I feel like some of the terms are not quite fair for the artist. In part, that's part of it.
Which the book artist or the
narrator, the person narrating your book. There's a lot of terms that I think are not very favorable, we'll say.
Well, here's how we're doing it different with LMBPM Publishing.
Yeah.
And I'm putting the competitors, if you will, on notice. We pay half up front.
Okay.
And we generally pay within 7 days or less of them finishing the book. And here's part of the reason. I also call and talk to every single one of them. Yeah. They're in our Slack group. They are part of the discussions of what's going on at any time.
Yeah.
They can get done. Here's what I explain. I'm expecting a very professional experience.
Right.
I'm going to treat you like a professional. If you choose not to do it, you're going to forego anywhere from 10 to 30 books over the course of the next year and a half or two.
Yeah.
One of our individuals, she's booked out well over a year. Another one is booked out a year, and more if she'd allow us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
interesting. That's cool, man. Yeah. You're. Here's what's interesting. You said the words in 2018 earlier. Meaning you have more than just this year planned. That already puts you miles ahead of most people who start things like this.
Yeah. My wife sat me down and she made me go into 2019 as well. Just
really? Wow.
Yeah.
So she's pretty business savvy herself then.
Yes.
Yeah. That's good. So you're okay. The collaborations that you're doing. So they're all in your world, so that does help, I would imagine. Just because you can control, here's backstory, here's characters, here's the limits. Here's the magic system, if you will. I know yours are sci-fi, but so you. No,
we're releasing magic in the next 2 weeks.
Okay, yeah, actually, Justin and I talked quite a bit about you over the week. And some of the stuff that you've got coming. I hope you don't mind.
No, I don't mind.
But I recognize that. I won't leak anything unless you leak it. But Yeah,
no,
you do
go
have
ahead.
some
You're
interesting
welcome to
stuff.
say anything.
No. I know. I heard about like the sort of post-apocalyptic and then sort of post-apocalyptic stuff that you got going on.
Mm-hmm.
You got a nice little evolving universe there. So why did you decide to open up your world to people rather than create something brand new?
That was a business decision.
Yeah.
My fans are all into Arthurian Gambit, and they love where it is, and they keep asking for more and more work. And I recognize a couple of things. One, I can't possibly write it all.
Yeah.
My expectation is not that Arthurian Gambit is going to be a 20-year Star Wars type experience, right?
Right.
So the fire is hot right now. Now, there are also genres I'm either not qualified to write in, or like romance,
right.
and post-apocalyptic.
Mm-hmm.
There are things about post-apocalyptic whenever you write them that you should know how to, let's say, skin a deer.
Right.
That's not research I really care to do.
That's where you and I are different.
Well, there you go, right? So that was, Craig was already writing in post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
And then there are the fans are interested in side characters. Once again, I wrote, 11 books, 2 novellas, 2 short stories last year. Couldn't satiate the desire.
Right.
So it's like, all right, folks, how can I set this up in such a way that we can we can give the fans what they want. I can help individual authors attain a level of awareness and income they could not do it before.
Right.
And make all of this work. And what we're doing now is what we're accomplishing. And so, I'm a huge shout out also to Stephen Campbell, who's behind the scenes running the operations of what's going on. And by operations, I mean, he's the one making sure that we get the just-in-time stuff out to the beta readers and then back and then into Scrivener before I publish.
Yeah.
And he's the one that's making sure that if we have a document that needs to go out for the audio for, Kate Rudd, that she has it.
Yeah. 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 Okay. So he's the brains behind the brains.
He is helping like crazy.
Yeah.
Yes. And he's enjoying himself, and it allows him, for those who don't know who we're talking about, we're speaking about the podcast gentleman of the author biz, Stephen Campbell. And he is, I don't want to say he's in retirement because obviously he's not, but he's already had his own business and done his own things. And so now he's kind of in that area where he just wants to be able to write thrillers and then have some income to compensate while he's doing this.
Right.
And he is doing an amazing job.
Yeah. And he's a good guy,
no, you
too.
Can't tap. I'm not talking to you particularly. I'm talking to all you thousands of people listening.
Everybody who just took down his name.
Exactly.
He had me on his podcast a few months ago, actually. So he's a real good guy. I enjoyed talking to him. I didn't keep up with him as much as I probably should have, and then things got kind of hectic. I think right around that time I joined Drafted Digital, and it just all kind of went sideways. So, but
in a good way.
In a good way. Side reel, we'll say. Like I entered an alternate reality from the one I was in, and everything was still Irie. So you're okay. I would be remiss if I did not hop back a little, because what everyone's going to want to know is how you built this, this momentum in the first place. Like, what was that first book, and how did you end up kind of gaining steam the way you did? Because you surely did not do this overnight.
No, it took about 5 months.
Okay.
So
awesome.
Here's what
that just made half my audience stab themselves in the eye.
Do not have Michael Anderle on, because half your audience will go commit suicide. No. Here's a couple of things that a few people will help them. I'm almost 50 when I did this.
Yeah.
I've got decades of reading behind me. I'm a whale reader. I've read thousands of books, and I understand, my company that I had at the time that I started this was a digital sales and marketing company. I already knew about Facebook. I already knew about Google Ads. I already knew about some of these things. So when I made decisions, I didn't make decisions based on keyboards, because I didn't even frickin' know what keyboards was.
Right.
So keyboards is both a benefit and a curse.
Right.
It can be a complete time suck, gloriously wonderful time suck.
Yeah.
But it can also perhaps take you down a path where everyone's truth isn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so from that indie publishing outlaw kind of concept, I don't necessarily believe what anyone says. I was told quite a few things I ignored.
Right.
Did I suffer or stumble a little bit? I was told that I should only do 4 books a year when I was planning on doing about 20 and 2.
Right.
That was the whole genesis of 20 books to 50K.
Right.
But I chose to ignore it, and I stumbled for about 2.5 months. Not stumbled from the point of I didn't get my book out. I stumbled from the point of like, and Marines, forgive me, but when you go through 2.5 hellaciously hard months, emotionally, physically, as I went through that time of fighting burnout.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there was that situation that I had to deal with. But velocity was a huge benefit. Now everybody knows the velocity is a wonderful thing right now. When I was doing it, I think most people were just recognizing it. Or I should rather say most people were talking about it. I think other authors knew about it earlier and they just weren't saying anything.
Right.
So I knew about it because as a whale reader, I didn't want to start a series unless it had 3 books. So I worked like crazy to get my first 3 books out. So that was really kind of the impetus behind it of me being so fast was that's what I wanted as a reader.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's difficult, by the way. Like, I did not follow that rule. And my growth has been so much slower than yours. But, there's a tendency for us to want to put that first book out as soon as it's ready. Mm-hmm. So, we don't want to wait until we have 3 or 4 books. We want to be authors now. So the fact that you had the presence of mind and the willpower to do that's pretty impressive.
Well, I not to humble brag, but to totally humble
brag, man. Why else would you be here?
I didn't wait on anything. I wrote them all straight up. So I finished the first book, dropped it 11/2. The next book came out like 9 days later. The next one like 11 days later. NaNoWriMo.
Yeah.
Editing had issues. Covers had issues.
Yeah.
And that first month I made 350 to 438, depending on if you go net or gross. And then the next month was 3,000, and then 10,000 the following month.
Okay. All right. So you went with an MVP approach, though, right? Like you got it to its most viable, condition, and then released and saw what happened. Did you have any fallout from that, though?
The editing was a fallout, and I completely say that book 2 was that whole the book is done. Let me just get it out.
Yeah.
And I still don't know whether or not I released the best quote book or just a previous version of it when I went, and it was really bad. But so what happens now? The book 1 is probably as good or better than most trade pubs from the standpoint of quality and fixes per page. Mm-hmm. But guess what? I still get dinged on because of people reading reviews.
Yeah. Yeah.
They imagine stuff is wrong.
Oh yeah, you see. Yeah, I mean, I get that on a couple, especially my earlier books that suffered from that same problem. I wrote this book yesterday and it's going live today. But I contend that indie authors, as soon as they know that you're an independently published author, I contend that we get it harder. We get scrutinized more. We get kind of a raw deal from people digging in and reviewing and reading the books. So, if
you ever get a chance, reach out to Kat Lind and ask her. She has the statistics on that, and she can tell you how many times traditionally published books, how many errors per page they have.
Yeah,
and she can pretty much, I think, prove your assertion.
Yeah, that would be interesting information to have, actually. Yeah. No, it doesn't happen so much anymore, and I'm sure it doesn't happen as much on your new releases, does it?
It does not, but you know what? Everybody who's going to be upset with my stuff for whatever reason, they're not in it at book 15.
Right. That's true. Yeah, I think actually that's a good point, because if someone's reading book 15, they're probably not going anywhere. They've already been in it for the long haul. Now they're in it for the end of the world or something.
That part, or it's and you still get people the ones that just need to look in the mirror and decide to go by and give you a low star rating just because of who you are.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Have you gotten the lady who just pops in and says, haven't read it yet, and leaves you a 1-star review? Have you gotten that lady?
I haven't seen that. I might. And it got to a point, once I hit 50 reviews on book 1, I decided I wasn't taking any crap from anybody. And so if anyone was ugly, I would just tell them, here's the link to my book. Go give it a 1-star review all you want. I don't care.
Right.
But I'm not going to sit here and be beholden to you.
Right. I've had some well-meaning folks who came in, and actually said, I'm not going to leave a review because if I did, I'd have to just trash you, which I understand and I appreciate that, but don't feel like, don't hold back on my part. I mean, on my account, because I understand if you hated the book, but what you get dinged for is generally stuff that's, a little on the ridiculous side, Nick Thacker got a 1-star review because his doors on his spaceship didn't have handles. That kind of stuff is ridiculous. So.
Yeah, especially with, I'm in space opera.
Yeah.
I'm not in high science fiction, Asimov type stuff. And so I don't really worry about it as much. I've seen too much evidence to show that people and books that are selling incredibly well do not have high reviews.
Yeah. Yeah.
So right. I'm like, eh.
Yeah. 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 I mean, there is something to be said for that because after a time, the reviews matter less. And actually, the more reviews you have, the less it matters how high you're ranking with them because people kind of expect that there's going to be a wash, I think.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. As I see my books increase in quantity of sales for book 1, I see the percentage breakout slowly start to go toward the middle and the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see it. I could totally see that. So you're all right, you're continuing collaborations. While you're doing these how does your collaboration work, by the way? Are you outlining and handing it over to somebody or what's your process there?
Part of my intent is to make sure that my collaborators are going to continue having a wonderful career after our collaboration is over.
Okay.
So one of the first things I'm going to do, for instance, I've got a conversation either tonight or tomorrow night with a lady, and I'm going to say, what is your goal?
Yeah.
What is it you want? What is your mountain is the way I like to put it. What is the thing you want? And let's structure a collaboration in such a way that it's going to facilitate your goal.
Yeah.
And so when we do that, then I explain, okay, you're going to have to read a chunk of these books. Yeah. There's no Bible to give you the shortcut. And that, I think, causes quite a few authors to stop and go, not that interested.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's fine. That's okay. But anything has value needs to take effort.
Right. We need to get you a wiki, though.
I started one of those a few weeks ago, and it's just like, holy crap, this is a lot of work.
It can't come from you. It can't. It has to be. I've tried, dude, and the only way it works is when my readers contribute. So
yes, I don't know how to do that, but
I need it for me. Like I need. I'm finishing up a series right now, and I'm like, my God, if I had a wiki, I could look back and see. I basically have created one as a huge note, but I need like eagle eyes who see stuff that think about stuff that differently from me.
I've got the way I do that is I have a just-in-time team and a technical team of readers who have read the series multiple times.
Okay.
And we pass a book out to them like 18 to 24 hours before it goes live.
Right.
And they review it.
Excellent. Yeah, like a street team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the street team I was under the impression was more marketing based.
Yeah, I use mine mostly for editing. Okay. I'll ask them to go review, write reviews and spread the word. That's part of the rules of being on my street team. But the biggest use for me, honestly, the biggest benefit has been it saves me a fortune in overhead on editing. So I'm actually going to have them go back through my old books. Here's all my books for free. You give me any edits, so I can kind of correct some long-standing errors. So.
Yeah, that's some of the individuals and the readers. If you treat your readers like they really deserve to be treated, they will pay in spades back.
Yes, they will. Yeah, I've got so many. I had, in fact, a reader just sort of stand up for me on Facebook. Some things started, some noise started, we'll say, and she dove in my defense, and I felt bad for her because she was getting attacked from all sides, but she held out, man. And then she wrote me a nice little email to tell me, you don't listen to these people; they don't know what they're talking about. And
awesome,
thank you. So yeah. Man.
I took you remember we had Julie Hess at last year's summit, and she talked about Society 6.
Yeah.
And so I've put some product up on Society 6, and it's not so much that I go around and going, hey, go get my product. What I do is anytime that some of the fans do something amazing, or just because I want to, I will snag a fan and I'll message them directly and say, hey, I'd love to send you one of these mugs or a T-shirt or something. And they're super excited, and they use it and they'll show it.
Yeah,
they'll take it to work, and it's awesome marketing that you can write off.
That's a very good idea, man. I forgot about that. I remember her mentioning that, and I remember saying, you know what, I need to do that, and then I promptly went on with my life and did not even look at it. And that's probably what's going to happen today too. Frankly. I'm going to, it's come back up, and then, a year from now, someone's going to say, hey, you ever thought about Society 6? Very cool. So are you, go ahead.
I was going to say, one of the things that's about it is when I did my 2016, I had a particular monetary goal in mind, and I wanted to accomplish this without spending as much money on advertising as you hear others do it.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And it's one thing to make, name a number.
What do you mean?
400. It's one thing to make $300,000 in sales with $100,000 in advertising spend.
Right.
So it's like, okay, I want to be better than what I've heard.
Yeah.
And so I think I spent maybe $30,000 in advertising for a significantly larger income.
Yeah. And there is, just so everyone is aware, I mean, there's always going to be some kind of overhead when it comes to marketing your work. I mean, trust me, if I could figure out a way to market for free, I totally would be the one to do it, But it's either, there's always a cost in either money or effort, and effort typically takes you away from all the things that are going to make the money. So, create a budget. So, even if it's only a few $100 a month. In
the beginning, you can start your business on a lot of sweat equity. Yeah. The further you go into the quantity of books, especially if you have a series, you have to give something up. You're either going to have to write less because you need to go back, and Amazon sends these annoying messages where readers have dinged you for that and this and those and and you've got to go fix them. And now you've got 12 books to do that with.
Yeah.
Or you could pay to have somebody else do it.
Right. There comes a point, where it's just worth it. The trade-off of time isn't worth it. So
correct.
Make the investment. Yeah, and you have to start valuing or evaluating, I guess, what your time is worth, and assigning a value to your hours. I mean that helped me a lot early on because I knew if someone was going to ask me to do anything, man, mow my yard. Okay, well I know that's a few $100 that I could have made. I mean that's how it eventually became that. Once you know the value of your hour, you find it much easier to outsource. Hiring a guy to do your yard for you is a money saver as much as a time saver. So,
for me it was always a pleasure, right?
Yeah.
It was the one thing that I gave myself in mowing yards. I hate it. Specifically, we're talking about that one. I hated it, even when I could have used that money.
Yeah.
Not having to do it was worth it to me.
Right. Same here, man. When I was almost flat broke, I was still often paying somebody to do things like that, yard work or washing your car or whatever. And things that are just time sucks and tedious, and I can be working on something else. I considered it an investment in my future, which did pay off. It pays off. So, okay. I mean, we're beyond time, and I feel like you and I could probably keep going for like another hour or so, but I respect your time too much for that. Let's outsource that. We'll have Justin and some other schmo take up this interview and just pretend to be us.
Well, wouldn't that be great if we could like tag them right now? And
we should do that. I'll just hit the bell, ding, and then suddenly I sound an awful lot like Justin. So we just so everyone knows, everything we've talked about, I'm going to pop into the show notes. But where can people find you online? That's the standard question. But where's the best place for people to find you?
Typically, if you're going to find me roaming around, it's either going to be on the Kurtherian Books Facebook page or 20 Books to 50K. Okay. As my 2017 goes into full bore, I'm not on the 20 Books to 50K nearly as often.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm like not wanting to be there. It's more like I'm in a group now of 40 to 50 people running this collaboration enterprise. When a new collaborator comes in, we set up multiple channels. We have a channel for the audio. We have a channel for the book cover. We have a channel for the edits. We have a channel for just discussions. And then, as we're going through it, you asked before, what's the process, right? So we're talking everything out, and then we agree to the beats. Yeah. They'll write the first 3,000 words. I'll edit them as I would and give it back, and we go back and forth on that. We're not trying to create little mics. We're trying to create an understanding of what is the emotional impact of my writing. Why do I write the way that I do that causes my fans to enjoy it so much?
Right.
Those are very relevant discussions. And so we have those discussions, and then when we're finished, they're finished, I always get it. I always do a complete edit. I will go change things that are in it, and then we have, a final just in time, and it goes out.
Yeah.
Then immediately upon it going out, Stephen is working on the paperback cover. Mm-hmm. We are looking to find who is going to be our audio. Okay. And we're nailing in, like right now, we're having to go out and find more audio because we've overwhelmed our existing actors and actresses.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're having to do that. And so, audiobooks, even once you have them, covers, we're doing a ton of model shoots.
Yeah.
We have a new cover artist that we're working on with C.M. Raymond and Ellie Bourbon. And she actually sewed the blouse and the top that our model is using.
Wow.
It's just some really cool stuff that's going on behind the scenes. And I make available to any of the collaborators access to the artists that I use.
Yeah. Wow.
For their own work, so that there's a relationship there. And this is what I'm saying about, this is a completely new paradigm of publishing.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to hold it all to my vest.
It is very, very much and I've been talking about this for the past 2 weeks, so forgive me, but I mean, it's very much part of that evolution toward a hybrid model. Mm-hmm. I think that you're right on the cusp of it.
Right, exactly. I do not feel like there yet.
Are you exclusive? Are you on Amazon, KDP?
I am Amazon exclusive, and it was a business decision.
Yeah. So, we'll talk about that. You and I can talk about that. No, actually, I do. I have something I'm going to chunk your way that may be appealing to you. So, we'll talk off air. Actually, I should just share it on air, but because it's no secret. But
it always annoys me. You do that. We'll talk off air. I'm sitting, and forgive me, but I'll often be listening to my podcast in the shower. I'm like, Kevin, you bastard.
Yeah, I know. I'd probably do that too often. That's because there comes a point where I had no intention to bring something up, so I don't know if it's safe. So mm-hmm. I'll take it off air. But no, okay, I'll throw it at you, man. You ready? I'll throw it at you. I have a theory. I have a strategy I've been pushing with folks, and I think it might work for you too, because I know you have since you have a large back catalog, mm-hmm. I've been pushing what I'm calling now my 80-20 theory, my 80-20 strategy. Because that 20% of books that you have that are your big breadwinners, keep those exclusive. But as you start to see the freshness wear off on some of your older titles, those are good titles to start experimenting and moving out into a wider space. And I think I've been pitching this idea to people that go exclusive, but always market wide. Use tools mm-hmm. like our universal book links at Drafted Digital, right? Use tools like that to keep your awareness out there, because the number of touches that you have to have now, it keeps increasing all the time. I think it's like 4,000 now or something, or maybe it's like 20. But the number of times someone has to see your product or your brand to start connecting with it, right? Mm-hmm. do that groundwork now. Even if you are exclusive, use something like our UBLs, and then they can go straight to Amazon. And if they don't shop Amazon, there may be some disappointment there, but you can always segment lists and talk to those folks and say, coming up soon, there's going to be a release. We're finally going to release this to Kobo and to, Barnes & Noble and elsewhere. And I think you get to rebirth that work, and you get to freshen it up. So that's all off the cuff. There's holes in that theory, of course, but something.
No, I think that because I asked Dan myself back last year when he was there, got to meet him, and it's like I just wanted to find the right strategy. Yeah. Now, for me particularly, I happen to be a very it's like what books? They're all Arthurian Gambit.
Yeah,
it's all coming into one. I broke so many damn rules that everybody knows is sacrosanct. Yeah. You should not have more.
But they're not dependent, right? You're not.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Even the stuff you're collaborating with.
In a way, yeah, they're all. It's like breaking apart Star Wars.
Dude, even better though. Even better. Even better. So you take a book, and you kind of seed it out there, and then now you're starting to get demand, right? So you got to start at the beginning, honestly.
So if that book, let's challenge that.
All right,
and it's only
like I said, this is off the cuff. Okay.
Yeah, no,
I don't
absolutely.
have a plan for you. I'm just saying this is an idea.
If we could I would be one of the happiest people in the world if we could figure out an effective way for me to do this. But here's part of the challenge. I will have, in 2 days from now, according to what's going on, I will have 100 million pages read in KU.
Yeah. Yeah.
And book number 1 that starts everything is, at the moment, a top 1,000 book.
Okay. All right.
So then that's the challenge for me personally.
I understand that. Yeah, this is why I want to talk to guys like you, because this is where I have to figure out how do I match that in some capacity. Like what's the benefit? Because the thing about exclusivity to Amazon is that it rankles me. It should rankle you too, because you're the indie publishing outlaw, right? It rankles me because it's like I don't want to be in the thrall of the giant. I want the freedom to say, I'm going to reach this emerging market that's only available to Tolino. I want to get my books out into the whole of Europe instead of just these 4 countries or something.
I think for me personally, my challenge is to do it as a personal book with a new series that isn't beholden to Arthurian Gambit, because that's where my bread and butter is, right, from a business standpoint.
Yeah, but you want to leverage that, right?
Well, that's why I'm staying in it right now.
I have an idea.
Yeah. And it starts with Quello.
No, look. You're doing these collaborative works anyway, right? Mm-hmm. The collaborative authors that you've had success with, that you've done some books with, and they're able to get some momentum because of KU. They have their own audiences now. Start doing some not necessarily completely standalone, but some connected books, some side stories from that same universe. Do them as collaborations, okay? So you can reference obliquely everything that's happening, but these books would be aimed at the broad market, the wide market. Mm-hmm. Then you've got your audience. You're still building on that same momentum. You can try that with a few of your heavy hitters who may also be wide, who aren't just exclusive, and see if you can start leveraging that. I'm not saying you're going to replicate your dollars right away, but I think it would be a risk worth taking to get you wide. That's not just me pitching for Draft to Digital, by the way. I'm saying. Well,
this isn't a Draft to Digital discussion. It's a business discussion.
Yeah. Which there are plenty of counters to this, and there's going to be plenty of hurdles to overcome.
Yeah, so. I think why is I can see his face. Kobo's contact.
Mark.
Lafayette. Yeah, Mark Lafayette. Yeah. So it's if Mark, if you're listening. And if you're going to be there, and you guys, why can't we have a little symposium on, if we can go to the frickin' moon, why can't we figure this out?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you've heard this yet, but they're if you're in Kobo Plus, they've got a fund now, and you don't have to be exclusive to be a part of it. This is brand new.
A fund of what?
A competing fund, like the global fund for KDP. They've got a fund. Mm-hmm. I don't know how it works yet. I do know that Draft Digital, we are able to put people in this, and I don't have any details yet, but it's because it's all brand new. But
I hadn't heard that.
So that could be a way in.
Well, I just think that I think there are enough smart people.
Yeah, no,
that
you're right.
From a business standpoint, it makes really good sense. We know this. Yeah, Amazon is a hell of a competitor. Right. And they're doing great things. And the common concerns or the common arguments you hear about this is, where the hell is Apple? Yeah, since I don't have any connections to Apple, I can't possibly offend anybody.
Right.
So I can say it. Where the hell are you, Apple?
Yeah.
Come on, dude. What?
Honestly, though, I'm going to tell you, my firm belief, and I'm not just kissing up to my friend Mark, but my firm belief is that Kobo is in the best position to rival Amazon in this market. And possibly overtake them.
Yes, they have challenges of their own.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Believe me.
They're Canadian, right? So they're strong there.
Yeah.
But they every time that I read something press release related to Kobo, I'm thinking, way to go, Mark and others.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what they're doing.
Yeah, they're doing amazing things. Like we're watching them closely, of course, because they're partners of ours, vendors of ours, and we've always had a very good relationship with them, and just there's a lot of love going between the companies. But just watching what they're doing, I'm like, they're getting in position. Like they're going to be the world player. They really already are. If you start looking at them from a world stage instead of just a U.S. stage, I mean, they're pretty strong. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
So we shared over on 20 Books. We shared because of the new book report.
Yeah.
They'll now tell you earnings by store, right? And by the way, I'm not negative Amazon. Amazon has treated me incredibly well.
Yeah, I should make it clear that I actually like Amazon quite a bit. I come across as negative, but I do like them quite a bit.
Yeah, and they have the methodology sometimes is a little kooky for trying to get a hold of them to fix a few things. But when we take into it, it's like, and you'll hear some horrible situations happening, and everyone's like, "That's why you're wide." And then, but did anyone mention it got fixed in 48 hours? Where's that part of the story? So, I had my own bad experience with Amazon, and it got fixed before it went out.
Yeah.
And they didn't know me from Adam. But by God, whenever I was crying, typing that email, please, oh God, help me.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm also a top 100 author.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so here, earnings by store for all of my income, 83. Well, you know what? Let me grab all of it because that's just stuff. So all of it, earnings by store, 83.7% is U.S.
Yeah.
9.3 is UK. 3.5 is Germany. 2.2 Australia. 0.9 Canada. 0.4 the rest of the world. Now, this is on a significant amount of books sold. So just the books alone, 180,000 books sold. If you include the actual, it's probably another 300,000 if you include the KU part of it. So we have this kind of income. What we found out is British English books, their UK store might be 3 times mine.
Right.
So Kobo is one of the ones that actually gives you some of this information. Amazon, not so much.
Right. Right. Of course, Draft Digital gives you all this information. I'm just saying.
Oh, see,
he worked one more in, folks. He worked one more reference in.
Today, it's not about what everyone can make the decision. Draft Digital is a great opportunity for very specific reasons, and you should do it for your business.
Right.
And it's at the end of the day, it's about time. Yeah. I had the same conversation a year ago with Dan. I said, Dan, why is it worth 20%?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's what he has to answer to.
It's a convenience fee, man. We save you time. It's not a
six-figures convenience fee.
We save you time. We put the. Yeah. No, I know. These are all very valid. I mean, this isn't. I don't want to debate, but
no,
the thing is,
right,
and people are surprised because I often recommend, especially if you only have a few books, if you only have like one or two books, I always recommend people go KDP Select because it's a good way to build momentum and actually make real dollars for your work, sooner rather than later. And I will freely admit that Draft to Digital and everything we do, that's a long tail strategy, and it does.
Oh, I would definitely use. I mean, my wide strategy. Let's pretend that I decided tomorrow I'm going wide.
Yeah.
Draft to Digital would be a component of it, and I know exactly why too, because you guys are going to promote me into stores that there's no effing way.
Right.
And
right.
It would be like it is a no-brainer for certain reasons.
Yeah. That's true. All right. See, I don't even have to do my ad read for Draft to Digital in this episode because the whole. But let's get back to what's more important because for those listening, I actually said like 20 minutes ago we were going to wrap up, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up. But if you are looking for something interesting to read, of course, you want to pick up any of Michael's books. Which you can find on Amazon, exclusively on Amazon. For now, I'm working on him. If you are an author, definitely hook up with this guy because he's got your best interest in heart. He really does. So, it's very rare to meet people who are successful in this business who also have a heart and want to see other people succeed. As Michael himself put it, now this is an old aphorism, but the rising tide lifts all boats. So that's the way he feels about it. That's the way you explained it to me off air weeks ago anyway, Michael. So hopefully you still feel that way. Did I lose you? Okay. Sounds like I lost him. So everyone else, thank you so much for tuning in. And we'll hang around, of course. After the break, we'll do a quick wrap up. All right, so we had a little technical trouble there at the end, but I did talk to Michael after that. We reconnected. He didn't hang up because his opinion had changed. So just so you're aware. So that's a great interview. So much. Michael does so much for that community. If you're not a member, if you're an author and you're not a member already of the 20 Books to 50K Facebook group, it is the one I participate in most on Facebook. Like most authors, I end up joining a ton of them, and I'm kind of a lurker. I admit I don't participate as much as I probably should. But hey, man, I'm busy. That's no excuse. All right, but definitely get in on that group and pick up. There are so many books in Michael's library now. You've got plenty to read. You ought to try out some of his stuff. It ranges quite broadly. So. Check that out. And you can find links to his website and everything else about him on the show notes of this episode. I hope you enjoyed that interview. Now, if you I read some reviews and I read some. I thanked a couple of patrons earlier, and I just wanted to give you an opportunity if you would like to support the show. A great way to do that. If you want to support me financially. Here's how you do it. You go to wordslingerpodcast.com. You click on the Patreon logo, and you can commit, $1 or $2 or $50 or whatever you feel like, whatever your generous heart feels like you should contribute. Here's what happens with that money. The money goes to anything that's related to the show, anything that has anything to do with the production of the show. And, that might, there's not a ton of money coming from it, so I don't do all that much yet. But it does help pay for hosting fees and, the little ins and outs. This show is done, by me on no budget. I mean, I do it for the love of it. I know I have sponsors now, but the sponsorships are kind of a, I work with Draft to Digital, so therefore I will sponsor my own show kind of thing. That's there. You should definitely try out Draft to Digital if you are an author or interested in this at all. If you have a book, that is the best way to convert your book for free, get it into ebook format, distribute it far and wide, and it's all about convenience for you. So great tool, and I loved it well before I started doing work for these guys. before I kind of came on board as the face of the group, I was pushing them far and wide. So that's one of my sponsors. No money comes in from that. I didn't budget for it, so I don't pay myself anything. I'm just trying to keep the company at top of mind. And another fantastic sponsor, of course, is KDP Rocket. This show is brought to you in part by KDP Rocket. And if you're an author, you can use this to fine-tune your keywords on Amazon and elsewhere, really. I mean, this is a great tool for finding out who's searching what on Amazon, on Google, and that will allow you to fine-tune your book descriptions, fine-tune advertising, fine-tune the keywords, get yourself in the right categories. It's a great tool for propelling yourself as an author and getting your book out there. You can listen to my interview with Dave Chess on episode 109, actually. If you listen to that interview, you'll actually hear how he has had numerous bestsellers with brand new author names. He starts with nothing but the book, and he propels them into bestseller status, and he makes very good money from each of them without leveraging mailing lists or any other resources. So be sure to check that out, episode 109, and I'll put that in the show notes so you can check it out further. But getting back to Patreon, all donations are welcome, and they are much appreciated, and they do go to the production of the show, promotion of the show, and that helps us get out there and get a further reach. But here's one way you can help that costs you absolutely nothing, and I appreciate it just as much. If you will go on to iTunes and find the show, search for Wordslinger Podcast, find the show, and go rate and rank the show, I would greatly appreciate that. And what this does is help other people discover the show. And you tell people what you like about it. Tell people, if you like the author aspect of the show, which is pretty heavy these days, but I mean, if you like that aspect, that it's a support for indie authors, mention that. If you like, and there's the background noise again for you. If you like the fact that it's very story centric, that I'm trying to talk to the people who come on and get their background, get their backstory, then mention that. Whatever it is you're loving about the show, it would help me a great deal if you go and talk about that on the iTunes review. And you can also review on Stitcher, Google Play, anywhere you find the show. So I appreciate you tuning in. If you have questions, here's what you do. You can pick up your telephone device and call me at 281-809-WORD. That's 281-809-9673. You can also reach out to me and send me a voicemail from the Wordslinger Podcast website, wordslingerpodcast.com. There's a little tab that floats on the right-hand side there that says send voicemail. You can use your computer, your smartphone, your tablet, whatever you like, and send me a voicemail. And you can email me. Hit the contact button on that same page. Send me an email, and I'm happy to. I respond. Sometimes it takes me a bit. It's taken me a bit because of this move lately, but I respond to everybody. So be sure to do that. I love getting email from people, especially if they like the show. I occasionally get emails from people that don't like my work. It happens. It happens, and I love them too. So, but thank you so much for being a part of this show, being a part of my life. I can't tell you how just ridiculously grateful I am that you're here. Because otherwise, it's just me talking to this, computer, and that doesn't get me anywhere. So, thanks so much, and be sure to check out the show notes and check out everything Michael Anderle is doing. I will let you get back to your regularly scheduled life. God bless each and every one of you, and I will see you all next time.